Ambassador Elena Vasquez smiled politely as High Chancellor Morthek delivered yet another condescending lecture about proper galactic decorum to the assembled human delegation. Around the crystal amphitheater of the Galactic Council, representatives from 43 species watched with barely concealed amusement as the humans endured another session of diplomatic humiliation. The Terran proposal for mutual defense agreements is, once again, rejected, Morthek announced with smug satisfaction. Your species' aggressive tendencies and violent history make you unsuitable for meaningful partnerships within civilized space. Elena maintained her diplomatic composure, though her jaw tightened imperceptibly. For 15 years, humanity had played by the galaxy's rules. They had accepted insults, tolerated trade restrictions, and watched alien pirates attack human shipping with minimal response, all in the name of galactic integration. We understand the Council's position, Elena replied carefully. Perhaps we could discuss humanitarian aid protocols instead? Human medical technology could benefit. The Council has no interest in your medical technology, interrupted Ambassador Vexclar of the Hegemony Union. We've seen how your species handles problems. Everything becomes a military solution. Laughter rippled through the chamber. The humans had become the galaxy's favorite joke, the domesticated deathworlders who desperately wanted to be accepted by their betters. If there's nothing else, Morthek said dismissively, this session is adjourned. Perhaps next quarter, the Terran delegation might bring proposals more suited to civilized discussion. Elena gathered her materials in silence, her diplomatic team maintaining their professional demeanor as they filed out of the chamber. Behind them, alien delegates continued their snickering commentary about human naivety and desperation for acceptance. None of them noticed the small communication device Elena activated as she left the building. Status update for Earth Command. She spoke quietly into the encrypted transmitter. Council has again rejected all cooperative proposals. Recommend proceeding to Phase 2 of Integration Protocol. The response came instantly acknowledged. Ambassador. Phase 2 authorization confirmed. You have 48 hours to complete diplomatic withdrawal. 2 days later, every human diplomatic mission, trade representative, and civilian contractor in Confederation space quietly departed their posts. No explanations were given, no dramatic speeches made. They simply left. The galaxy didn't notice immediately. Humans had always been polite background players, easily ignored when more important species were talking. It took 3 weeks for the first consequences to become apparent. Chancellor Morthek, his aide reported urgently, we're receiving concerning reports from multiple sectors. Trade routes that humans previously protected are experiencing severe piracy issues. Let the locals handle their own security, Morthek replied dismissively. Perhaps this will teach them not to rely on Deathworlder protection. But the reports kept coming. Human security contractors had been quietly providing protection for shipping lanes across 2/3 of the galaxy. Human medical teams had been providing emergency response services that dozens of species had taken for granted. Human engineering consultants had been maintaining infrastructure that other species couldn't repair themselves. All of that had simply stopped. Sir, the aide continued nervously, there's more. The Regellian Syndicate attempted to raid a human colony in the Outer Rim. The entire raiding fleet was eliminated. Eliminated? By whom? Unknown forces, sir. No survivors, no witnesses. Just debris scattered across 3 star systems. Morthek felt the first stirring of unease. Contact the human diplomatic mission. Schedule a meeting to discuss. Sir, the human embassy is empty. They left no forwarding information. It was then that a new transmission reached the Galactic Council chambers, not a diplomatic request for an audience, but a simple, direct communication broadcast on all frequencies. The face that appeared on the main screen was human, but not one the Council recognized. This wasn't a polite diplomat or desperate trade representative. This was a military officer with scars that spoke of actual combat and eyes that held no trace of the accommodation they'd grown used to from humanity. "Greetings, Galactic Council," Admiral Sarah Chen said calmly. "This is Admiral Chen of the Terran Star Navy. I'm here to inform you of some policy changes." "Who authorized this transmission?" Morthek sputtered. "The proper channels require." "Chancellor, I'm afraid you misunderstand," Chen interrupted. "We're no longer requesting permission to speak. We're informing you of new realities." The holographic display behind Chen shifted to show a tactical map of the galaxy. Red zones appeared across multiple sectors areas where human military forces had established protection corridors. Effective immediately, human vessels will provide security for any shipping that requests our protection. Payment rates are non-negotiable. Any interference with our operations will be considered an act of war. You can't simply declare unilateral control over trade routes," protested Ambassador Vexklar. Chen's smile was not diplomatic. "Ambassador, we spent 15 years asking nicely for cooperation. You made it clear that civilized discussion wasn't an option. So we've adopted methods more suited to our nature. This is piracy. Extortion. This is business," Chen corrected. "The galaxy taught us that strength is the only currency that matters. We're simply applying that lesson." The map shifted again, showing human military installations appearing throughout what had previously been neutral space. Bases, defense platforms, patrol fleets, a military infrastructure that had been built while the galaxy was laughing at human diplomatic failures. "How long have you been planning this?" Morthek asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Since the day you first told us we were too violent for civilized space," Chen replied. "You were right, you know. We are violent. We are aggressive. We are everything you said we were. The mistake was thinking we could change that nature instead of simply focusing it properly. The Galactic Defense Force will never allow." "Chancellor," Chen interrupted, "the Galactic Defense Force uses human-manufactured components in 70% of their ships. Human contractors maintain 40% of their bases. Human suppliers provide 60% of their ammunition." Her smile grew colder. "Did you think we spent 15 years being helpful for free?" The implications crashed over the chamber like a tidal wave. The humans hadn't been desperately seeking acceptance. They'd been methodically making themselves indispensable while building the infrastructure for galactic dominance. "The galaxy can choose cooperation or conflict," Chen concluded, "but it will no longer choose to ignore us. We tried being nice. That era is over." As the transmission ended, Morthek realized that the humans had just done something unprecedented in galactic history. They had turned diplomacy itself into a weapon, using 15 years of apparent weakness to position themselves for overwhelming strength. The galaxy had laughed at the humans for wanting to fit in. Now, they would learn what happened when Deathworlders stopped trying to be civilized.